Hey everyone, welcome to the first episode of Beyond the Field. Here we are going to discuss what happens in a sports athlete's life. We are going to hear it from an avid sports nutritionist, Siddhant, who is here with us. He is going to throw insights on what is the diet, what is the nutrition which an athlete should be following during a competition, on the field, during training, the understanding macronutrients, micronutrients, and many other more insights. Let's set the stage for our viewers. So here we are going to explore that what an athlete should be eating before, during and after a game. But before that, Siddhant, please tell us that why is nutrition so crucial for an athlete?
So how I look at nutrition is something you put inside your body is what you're gonna get out. Right? So if I put wrong things in my body, I'm gonna get wrong things out. An athlete is not a normal individual and the person has to treat itself in that particular way. You are a Lamborghini, you can't fuel yourself like a Maruti Suzuki. Now say you train twice a day, you eat say 5 times a day, right? So when you look at the balance of how much time you're eating and how much time you're expending, the imbalance of that makes you understand how important it is. And whatever you do, it boils down to your food, right? You don't eat well, you can't sleep well. You can't eat well, you can't train well.
Recovery also I think gets affected.
Recovery doesn't happen, right? So say you don't eat for a couple of next 2 hours after training, gone. You're gonna feel it next day. And we have seen so many times where just eating well does wonders to the body, especially for athletes, and they need to understand that in that sense.
Well, so what is the role of macronutrients in understanding an athlete's diet? What do you think like the role of carbohydrate, protein and fats does have?
The macros are like 3 pillars that you look at, right? One pillar gives you energy, one pillar gives you recovery, and one pillar helps in your growth. All the 3 needs to be important. You can't go at one, okay, I need energy, I will not focus on my recovery and growth.
Right.
I will focus on recovery, okay, I can't energy, right? The growth is also important, especially in the younger athletes. So when looking at what role it plays, you need to give enough food, you need to give enough importance to that. Now in today's world, you look at a very high protein we need. Yes, you need protein for your recovery, but you don't need protein apart from that, right? The job of the protein is to give you the recovery perspective, the growth. You don't eat protein for energy. You eat your carbs for energy, you eat your fat for energy, right? So the balance needs to be there for all the 3, so we get the most out of it, especially for the young athletes into the teenagers. The reason being they don't have to eat for only for their sport, they have to eat for their growth. So understanding that, okay, if I'm eating 100 calories and my body needs say 200, now on a regular basis they have to decide, okay, is it a sport, is it a growth? Now because sport is a regular intake, like I have to go and train every day, it's like a cash in the pocket, I have to refueling that. So I will always look at fueling my cash, and then FD is my later part. So when the energy goes in, when I train, when I eat on a constant basis, the body has to decide, do I give it to my sport or do I give it to my growth? If you don't eat well, the first is always your sport and growth takes a back. So when it comes to athletes, especially the young athletes, important that you have to eat for their both. We have so many athletes who poop thrice a day. They have to eat that much. They're like, you are eating twice a regular person eats.
The calorie consumption is high.
Is that much, right?
Correct.
So the understanding of that yes, it is required. You have to eat for at least 2 persons if you're playing that much. So you have to focus a good balance on all the 3 and not just look your curve at one way.
So a follow-up question on this, an athlete's diet is then not only dependent about like how much of protein intake, because the young athletes always feel that you take enough protein and it's done.
Yeah, so it's an important aspect. But now that's not only training, right? Now say if you're a tennis player, you don't just go and play tennis. There are other agility work that you do, the workouts you do, the recovery you do. Similar, there are different those aspects of diet. Only eating one thing is not going to help.
So we understood about the macronutrients. Now let's understand from Siddhant that what is the role of micronutrients.
So to understand, macro is something you need in more. Micro is something you need it little. But we all know the little things that makes a big difference. So understanding the micronutrients, what it does. Now there are ample amount of micronutrients in the world.
Right.
Now there are certain few that is the B complexes, they are important for your energy levels. Or omegas, your magnesium, they are important for your recovery. So understanding this is small things. It's like there are a lot of micronutrients which does job of a catalyst. If I'm eating something and that needs to be converted to energy, I need my B complex to do that job. If I'm not intaking that B complex, that energy production is not going to happen.
Right.
If my muscles are tight, I need that magnesium to make it soft. So if those small things are not there in my food intake, it's not going to work. It's like the bank is is giving me money, but if the postman is not getting the postcard to tell me that, oh, you've got the money, I will not know in this way. So the macronutrient does that job.
And you think like it is individualistic, it depends from person to person. Not everyone needs everything, right? Yeah.
Correct. So everybody, there's an RDA side that, okay,
Correct.
there's a standardization, but you go a little deep into. So you don't go to a tennis coach and say, I want to learn swimming. So understanding that what do you need. Now there would be some athletes who need more magnesium. There are some people who need more omegas. There are some people who need more zinc. Understanding that, okay, what is your individual need? Because end of the day, you are an athlete and you need to eat for yourself and what is important for you and what is required for you. And that's what makes the whole difference, the individualistic aspect of the whole sport. Because even if you're doing a team sport, you have to play that job.
So you think like a basic blood work helps you with the same?
Yes, so diagnostics is something needs to be done to understand what is required. A blood work, be a gut test or be a gene test, for example.
Correct.
So if I know that, okay, I am deficient in a particular element, I will not know unless I will check.
Okay, now let's come to our next topic, which is a very important one, hydration. What do you think about hydration and how important it is for an athlete?
71% of my body is made out of water. Doesn't mean I take it for granted. I need to fuel them on a regular basis to make sure my 71 top up is happening because I am losing constantly. I'm losing constant in sweat, I'm losing constant in the thermogenesis process. So I'm always losing through the day.
Correct.
So I need to refuel it. A lot of times, drinking enough water can be a difference between a gold and a silver. It's that important. How I look at it is, take your muscles, it's like a sponge. Now, you don't use a hard sponge, you always use a soft sponge. You add water to it, becomes soft, you can use it. Remove the water, it becomes hard.
Yes.
You can't use it. The muscle works in a similar fashion. So for muscles to contract and relax, to understanding that water is one aspect. Now, electrolytes something, another thing that plays a role. Now, my muscles is protein, water, magnesium, for example, sodium. So my muscles are made of all these and I need these things to function properly. And it's not just about the muscle. It's also about the immunity factor that goes down drastically when you sweat. Body's temperature goes up when you are dehydrated. Cramping is again something, right? You remove the liquid water from the muscle, it becomes hard. So the solution of cramping is as simple as drink water. I like to say that if you drink water, you can solve 80% of your life problem. Be it a health related, be it a sport related.
So please tell Siddhant that what is your experience working with these athletes?
So when I start working with athletes at a younger age, I prefer working with them at a younger age because then I get enough time to understand them, understand their sport, understand their growth. Because it's very individualistic. There are people who, especially young athletes, because we're going to work on their height. Some people does not grow tall till 16 and they just spike after that. And a lot of times people come at 18, 19 and say, we want to grow. You should have come early. So we always encourage parents, encourage athletes to start your journey of eating well. Because as we discussed, you are training, working as good as an adult, maybe more than as an adult. And you're eating as a child, it's not gonna work. It's gonna work on your sport and not gonna work on your growth, right? And you need to, athletes need to understand one thing is that sport is a part of their long life. So you need to take care of that aspect, sport, yes, and your growth. During the journey, when I have when I talk to them, meet them, have the sessions, I help them understand that sport is important for you, yes, but you need to focus on the other things. Now, a lot of times, why we India lose in, say, jumps or tennis for that matter, height plays a big role. The average height in the European circuit is 190.
Yes.
What's the average Indian height? 160 maybe? 30 centimeters that in not just of taller, but even the hand, right? The hand-eye coordination, the reach that you get at that height makes a huge, big difference. And I think that's where we're lacking. By the time we wake up that, oh, I need to eat well, it's usually kind of late. It's also for them to get started because you are eating even when you're 10-year-old and you're eating when you're 60-year-old. If you're eating right at 10-year-old, your 60-year can be awesome.
So what do you think, like what should be a good age when your athlete should be thinking about competitive sports?
Competitive, I think 10 and above. Even before that, when you have that just that, okay, I need to play this
The
because
foundation,
I love doing this. You go and you start training, you enroll yourself, you start training. Then you start training there a little bit. Then you start doing your workouts when you feel that, okay, the training is not sufficient. And after doing all that, then you come to a nutrition and say, I want a nutrition for it. But even when you were training and you're working out, you were still eating. So if you had done the nutrition first, okay, let me start eating right.
Yes.
Now I have my energy, let me go and train well. okay, training is happening, let me do workouts to support my training, then everything comes together in place. So that at times makes a huge difference. So for majorly athletes, is that you start as young as possible, so you can grow taller, and that's everyone wants to grow taller, right?
So some quick advices can you give to our athletes?
If you are wanting to be a professional athlete, here are 5 things I would say. First, sleep like a baby, even if you are 18-year-old. Very important. Train like a gladiator. Like, it's the only thing that you need to do in sport. So sleep well, train, eat, be disciplined. When Messi won the World Cup, he became an overnight success in 20 years. An athlete's life is a boring life. If you want to be a professional athlete, you have to master your boredom. Master your training, master your eating, same foods each and every day. If you have heard Sunil Chhetri or Virat Kohli speaking, they say, we eat because we need to train. I'm eating broccoli or I'm eating pineapple because my body needs it.
Yes.
I'm not eating for my taste.
Athlete has no taste.
And it is a very, very boring life.
Yeah.
You always look at the podiums, the advertisements and all. But to go there, you have to live a very basic, boring life. And very, very important, the fifth thing I would say is be patient. If you are patient, if you are disciplined, you're eating well, doing 100% of your training, and you're sleeping like a baby, sooner or later, things will start to click and things will happen.
It was a great session today, Siddhant. We entirely enjoyed it. I hope you also did the same. If you have any further questions and queries, please put down in the comment box. Subscribe to us and stay tuned for more updates on Beyond the Field.